Hello guys, how you doing today? I am Pedro Garcia, um, crypto analysis for the week. I know we've had some pretty crazy stuff going on right now, and I wanted to just kind of come out here and kind of show you guys what's actually been happening. Sorry about that little feedback there. Still fairly new to actually going through and showing everything. Not the best at this, but I am still getting used to it. So, um, real quick, just want to do a quick little analysis of the market as a whole, from the S&P 500 to or from the futures to Bitcoin, Ethereum, checking out BNB. Also, there's a few other projects I really like that I'm looking at. I think I'm really looking for things right now in the market that have utility. Utility right now is probably going to be the primary thing because, some people don't want to believe that we're in a crypto winter. We may not be. I don't know, but it sure looks like it. It sure feels like it. It reminds me of back in 2008 when the market was falling apart. But I want to real quick just kind of go over my analysis of the market. Is I really more or less look at the charts. I'm not a macro guy, fundamental macro guy, or even a micro guy as well. And I want to point that out just simply because I just look at the chart and I'm looking at pretty much price and how it interacts with levels, as well as price as it interacts with moving averages from the day, week, and month to the 4 hour, 2 hour, 1 hour mark. I'm not going to give entries or exits. I do not do that. But what I do is I am a rule-based trader. So if I have my own rules. I encourage everybody to build their own rules in regards to their trading, because personally, um, you will live and die by the rules that you create, that you follow or you don't follow. And so I tell everybody, go and develop some rules and then play those rules. And my goal here with this channel here is simply just to kind of enable people to kind of learn how to kind of day trade. Most people don't understand how to do it. And it's pretty much based off of rules and setting up rules. And this is basically just, I've been trading for about 15 years, 16 years. It's only been the last 4 years, 3 years that I've been consistent and daily making profit day in and day out. If you want to go check me out on my YouTube, I'm also a dev for a cryptocurrency called Moonrock, Moonrock Coin, and they are pretty much like a community, a community DAO hedge fund that we invest in projects. We look into projects, and we basically, boost up those projects and kind of support projects that are really utility based. And we have ecosystems within our own ecosystems, coins within coins, that basically allow us to be able to profit on the market. So, real quick, I just got to go into this part right here. Disclaimer: no investment advice. The information provided on this video and website and live stream does not constitute as investment advice, financial advice, trading advice, or any other sort of advice, and should not treat any of the video and website content as such. Memes and Moonrock does not recommend that any cryptocurrency or any other assets that are mentioned should be bought, sold, or held by the viewer or listener. Do conduct your own due diligence and consult your financial advisor before making any investment decisions. I am not a financial advisor, and this content is only meant for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a tax professional on any gains or losses as a result of as any result of investing into crypto or any assets invested in. This is not financial advice, but is entertainment and social educational purposes only. Okay, guys, so now I kind of get that out of the way. I'm basically going to kind of go over some of the stuff. I want to get the S&P 500 out of the way right now. This is the thing that pretty much runs the world in regards to the markets. And in addition to that, a lot of other markets follow the S&P 500. Um, and so it's a very interesting thing to look at first. So I'm going to kind of go just from a macro perspective on the charts. Um, Now we have the end of the week, Friday. As you guys can see, we pushed up just a little, then came down. Now you can see here that we have some SMAs that we're playing off of. We're playing off of we busted through the 20 moving average, and we came back and retested or tried to retest the 8 moving average when it comes to up here. So we have a doji on the monthly here as so far. Now, granted, we are only a week into the, or not a weekend, we are 2 weeks into the market or into the month, but it's still halfway point. So I want you to look that up. But we did come up and we did put a little wick against the wall here, and we did sell off on this. So it's something to pay attention to, simply just because typically I look for buyer wicks and seller wicks, and so this pretty much indicates to me if people are buying and selling, if institutions are buying and selling, and so I'm typically looking to see if they're moving, if which direction they might be moving, and so like again, this is more of an art, not a science, but I'm typically looking at this stuff to see what's going on. So I can see that we definitely bounced off this 20 and we sold off, tried to push through it, but it definitely is not having it. We had a nice little retracement up from this week from yesterday's retracement. Let's go back to the weekly here now. Um, on the S&P 500, you can sit here and see this, that again, we had a big sell-off. We tried to try to push up from here, where we're bouncing off the 89, and we did a nice little sell-off off of the 20 moving average, and now we're continuing it down. Now we did have on this week, like I said, a big buyer wick here. So we did see a bunch of people buying in this area. So it's something to be paying attention to, just simply because um, typically this is what we're kind of this type of candle here is what we're looking for a type of retracement. Now I would like it to see it kind of come down into this area here, this support area, but again, sometimes the institutions will try to buy before everybody else does. They'll front run people before the lemmings come in. So we'll see what happens here in this aspect. But we do have some buying. But and above us from last week, we did have a big sell off again. So just giving you guys a heads up that this is looking a bit bearish, at least from a continuing down. I would have loved to see the week close in a green candle, but we never know what the market's really going to do. So I look at things as if and then. So that means is if the market does this, then I'll do that. If the market does this, then I'll do that. I'm never married to a position where I'm not holding on for dear life. Again, I am a day trader. I am not an investor. I get in real quick and I get out real quick. I will move my stops. Just to give everybody a heads up. Some traders do not. I do. I leave that as a very big cliffhanger there, because a lot of times people won't do that. Listen, I see this as a business. I need to go in, I need to make money every day, and I need to get out. And that's my point. Some people can say the market's going to do this and then stop them out, and then they lose money for the day. My job every day is to make money. So that's how I try to look at things. Um, One of the things I want to bring up though is in this area right here is that we do see that wick here, and this wick here for me is a pretty prominent wick. It's a really big buy. We saw quite a big buys coming into this area right here. So for me, we'll see what happens. But then again, last week we did see a sell-off right in this area here. So are we going to continue the sell-off and come down again even further on the SP to 3700 area? Or I also have another support area right here at the 34.99 area, the 3500 area for resistance, or excuse me, not resistance, but for support area. We'll see what happens. But again, this is just like little areas that I am looking at to see which way the market may go or may not go. Um, But yeah, just giving everybody a heads up right there. Now, the reason why I'm pointing out the market for crypto in regards to the S&P 500, because we're about to go and we're going to look at um, the, the other markets, and you're going to see there's a huge correlation with the S&P 500 and many of the other crypto markets, from Bitcoin to Ethereum to BNB. It's pretty remarkable what we're seeing with them. So I want to add on that we some people say that the institutions are the ones that aren't getting in, that they're staying away. But I would beg the difference, because when you start to see the S&P 500 and crypto correlate almost to the day within the last 3 weeks, I've stood in awe of everything that kind of correlates with it. Now we can look also at the NASDAQ, which more correlates, but because I feel like everything does follow the S&P 500, that's why I'm focusing on this for today. We'll be messing around with the NQ and messing around with the NASDAQ and just checking them out as analysis wise. And I probably should pay for one of these. It's actually getting annoying. So who knows? But yeah, I just want to point this out to you guys, because we're going to go into this as an analysis. So if you look at the daily chart here, we had a nice little buy wick step in here. We came up. Now, the part that I don't like is that we did not put in any much of a buyer wick today. We pretty much put in yesterday. So this does kind of worry me, saying that I would have liked to seen some type of buyer step in and basically buy off of this area here. But I don't know. We all know that this market's been topsy-turvy and been a bit crazy. But I can at least see us on Monday opening up to get up in this area where this seller wick is at, or not, where this seller area is at within the market on the daily. So that covers it pretty much in the day. But I really see also if we do decide to get above this, what I'm looking for is kind of a bounce off of this, come down a little, and then to close above this 8. The reason why, to me, that's why it's so important, is this 8 moving average can really dictate whether or not it's going to really move the markets, and it's not a bad thing. It's just simply something that I'm looking towards to really see if it's going to continue. It's primarily just me seeing if this is going to move. So, and I'll point out this. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can find another brush, pen, highlighter. I think the brush is also the one I was looking for. So, oh, whoa, it's not what I was looking for. But that actually does work, though, for me. So let's see if I can play with this a little. Boom, brush, highlighter. Like, again, I'm still fairly new, so forgive me for my etiquette. I'm not a YouTuber, but I'm getting better at YouTubing, so forgive me if I'm not the most smoothest of this. So what I'm looking for maybe for Monday is kind of like, if we're going to continue up, I want to see it come down, okay? And then I want to see it kind of push through this area, and then push up, and then come down and retest this resistance level right here, right now. That's really what I'm looking for, to see if we're going to continue maybe moving up to about the 48 mark here. That's really where I'm looking for to see within the market, is simply because this is kind of the area. If we're going to push up, I think we're going to push up to this area, kind of come back and retest. But it's definitely one of those areas that, not that it's bad, but that I'll put it like this: if we do a retest, that's a good thing. That's definitely a good thing that we're looking to do. But I'm looking for this area first, the 4,500 mark, and then the 4,580. Now this is kind of like my area that I was showing on the monthly. Is it monthly, or I don't know if it's monthly or weekly area here. that it's kind of showing me. This is another area that I'm also looking for, like I said, on the daily for us to retrace to. Now, it very much could turn around here and continue down if we don't clear that 8. That 8 moving average is going to be a big thing here, a very big thing. So we will see what happens. Um, and I know this looks like craziness here, but yeah, this is pretty much what I'm looking for overall. Um, this area right here as well, we could very much come up and hit this area where you have the 20 moving average, and then we could see this turn around here as well. This right here is also a junctional point where you're having a cross of the 400 and the 20 moving average. And so this right here in this area could also be another stopping area, where the market comes down, it comes up to, hits this, and then turns around from this area. So like I said, I'm giving you guys a couple areas here to look for. Again, the way I look at the market is if and then this, right? Um, and looking to see how you can capitalize on these junctional points, at least for myself. Um, so like I said, this area right here, and I'll just point them out here real quick for you guys. This area right here is what kind of like where I'm looking at. Right here, and then up in this area on the weekly. We'll see what happens ultimately though, come Monday. Or we could just see us hit the 8 moving average and then turn around and continue down, at least into the 3,800 mark. So we'll find out what happens on the S&P 500. Now, I know many of you guys are like, let's hurry up and get to the crypto. All right, let's do it. Jump right in here real quick. Let's go into BTC dominance here, and we're going to go to the dollar. Now, these are some of the things that I have definitely been intrigued with Bitcoin. Many people have said that we're not going to enter into a Bitcoin winter. That now a lot of the institutions have gotten involved. One thing about institutions that I want to point out, they hate paying for premium price. And so they will cause literally falls. They will cause things to turn around and go the opposite way purposely so that they can get ahead. All right. And I say that because ultimately what we're trying to do is we're trying to see which way they're trying to push the market, because we want to play with them. We want to get along what they're doing and basically play with what they're doing. So I personally think that when you look at the weekly S&P 500 and Bitcoin, so again, I'm going to point this out here real quick. It's only been lately that we've been seeing a correlation. So I'm going to point this out here. The last 2 weeks, we've seen the sell off. Now, all the markets have been selling off, right? But it's very clear when we get to the daily mark that they are following each other pretty well. You can see here from this market, from this moment here, from this area right here to this same look on the S&P 500. It's very similar. Okay. Again, this is the monthly chart. So once I started seeing this, I just realized, I was like, oops, look, they're in crypto. So I would say something to pay attention to, because you can capitalize that now. You can capitalize on that and really use the market as a whole. So jumping back here to Bitcoin, there are certain junctional points that I'm definitely looking at. As you guys, like we talked about on the S&P 500, we definitely fell through the 20 moving average, and then we tried to do a retracement back, but it did not. But with Bitcoin, it didn't even really get to even test the 20. It basically came up and then sold off. We came into an area right here that I was looking at, and then we saw a bounce back. So it's a nice little area. It did. When I trade, I am a confirmation trader, and I am also a momentum trader. So that's the way I trade. I don't just sit. I'm not a set and forget it trader. I do have the ability to sit in front of the screens all day long and be able to trade. So that for me is a huge thing. So these zones that I'm giving out, please do not do set and forget, because you will most likely get stopped out, because this market is moving and you could get crushed. So I always tell people, look, if you can, If you can get in, because crypto is a 24/7 area mark, you guys can actually be able to look at it and be able to trade it, during the evening. There's the Asian market, and then there's a bunch of markets that open throughout the whole entire evening while. So it's something you can look at as well. But yes, as we can see, we had the huge sell-off and a huge retracement back into the 20 moving average, and then we had a sell-off here. Now let's go to the weekly. Again, you guys now are starting to see a correlation of the S&P 500 weekly, as I'm showing here. It almost looked exact, especially this area right here. Let's see if it'll give me darker. Let's see. Again, especially this part right here, guys. I mean, it's almost uncanny, the correlation that we see. Again, this is the S&P 500 futures weekly, right? Now look, it's almost exactly what we were just looking at on the S&P 500. This is Bitcoin. Like it's crazy, this correlation that I'm pointing out, and it's one of those things that it's just, look, here's the ES, and here's Bitcoin. Like you can see it correlates very strongly. And so I was actually looking at a tit for tat on the 5-minute. It does not correlate on the 5-minute so clear, right? Because they are different markets. But ultimately, the daily chart is looking very, very similar to, or the daily and weekly charts are looking very similar to each other. So yeah, I just, it's one of those things that just uncanny. All right, so then we're going to come right here. Click this, pardon me. Boom, 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 boom. Here we are. Now, I want to point this out because, again, this is on the weekly chart. We are hitting some support area here. The support area here is a unique support area. It's a small wick area, but there's not much here below. So if this breaks through, the next support level here from the 26, 20, in some exchanges, I've seen it go down to the 21,000 mark for Bitcoin. I use TradingView because it's simple and easy to use as a charting system, and I don't trade off of it, so I don't have to worry about people trying to hack my my account here. So, but it's one of those things though that we did bounce off of this. Now there is the same support level. Now this is a weekly and a daily level that I want to point out on Bitcoin. This is why I picked it, because if the more, like monthly, daily, weekly area that you can get within an area, the stronger that zone is going to be. So I try to really correlate the weekly or the monthly, weekly, and daily zones. You're going to have a very strong area in that area that's going to really be able to test it. So you can see that this area here is a fairly good area. Is it going to hold? I don't know. The next one that I see here is the 22,000 mark. And then right here, you're wondering, what is the purple line? Now, we all know that the markets go from previous support, or if something is resistance and it gets pushed through, then it becomes support. And if an area of support gets pushed through, then that becomes resistance. Well, let's jump back here real quick. I'll show you this. This is the previous high for Bitcoin. It is a pretty, this was a huge push. This is when it went into the CME, and then the CME shorted it. And I'm pointing this out because the CME shorted the market. They went live here, and then they shorted the futures, and they went all the way down to 3,000 area, right? It literally lost almost, I don't forget, maybe 90% of its value. It was a substantial sell-off. Actually, it was probably like 85% of the value. So, and that's a substantial amount, right? Like, especially if you're sitting there, 90%. And in traditional markets, that could wipe the whole entire world out. But because crypto is what it is, we know that this is common. We typically will see a sell-off for a crypto winter. It'll go sideways for about 2 years, a year, 2 years, and then we'll see a rally. Same thing happened with Bitcoin. Back when it first started, back in 2014, um, we have a similar look back in this area, 2014, and it started back in 2013, 2012, 11 area. So it has an accumulation phase, and then it has a rally phase, and then it has a sell-off phase, or I like to call it accumulation phase. Because remember, the institutions are always net buying. They are long and short, but many institutions, they have clients, and most clients would like to buy and hold. So most institutions are net long in the market. So when we're looking from a day trading perspective, it's something that I'm always conscious of, right? So when they see a sell off really hard, it's a great buying opportunity for them to come in and buy it and put their clients in a better position to be able to buy the market. So something just to pay attention to, right? But it's kind of the psychology of the market. And additionally to that, whenever you're seeing a huge sell-off, understand that somebody else is taking that other side, right? So when somebody else is taking that, who's taking that other side? Are the novices taking that other side, or are the institutions taking that other side? And if you see the institution stepping in and coming in with big volume while you're doing a huge sell-off and you're seeing more buyer work step in, it's something you need to be paying attention to, saying, are the institutions stepping in, and are they moving are they about to move the other market, the other side of the market, right? That's important to understand, right? Who's going to try to move this market? So it's just something to be paying attention to. Again, now this is Bitcoin on the daily. Now we came up today, but we put a big buyer wick in, and then we bounced off of the 8 moving average, and we did sell off. So we're going to see, is Bitcoin going to come back up into the 32,000 area, or are we going to see a sell-off from this moment? I don't know, but I know that I am seeing more buyer wick step in, though. So it's something, when I go to the smaller time frames, I do see more people buying. So every time we have a big sell-off, we have a big buyers stepping in. So we'll see if this is going to continue. But as you can see, we sell off, then people buy back. And as we're selling off, we're seeing people buying back the market. So it's just really interesting. Who's buying that market? Are the scared lemmings, or are other people getting into the market who know that they're, because every time you have a buy, you have a sell, right? There's somebody else on the other side of that buy or sell. So you need to be paying attention to that. Just something to think about when you're trading. In addition to that, something here, as you can see, we came into the support area here on Bitcoin, and then we did see it rally back up. So certain areas we can see that we did see some sellers step in, and then it did continue up. So we'll see what happens here. Now, let's go ahead and look at the daily one more time. Again, just to recap here on Bitcoin, we did come up into this area, into the moving A average. It was not able to continue up. So we're going to see what happens here. Is it going to continue down, or is it going to continue up? We'll find out. But for me, I'm definitely getting bullish on Bitcoin, just simply because we are seeing buying wick step in. So I'm kind of excited about that. Now let's go ahead and jump into Ethereum here. Ethereum, USDT or USD. All right, guys. So this is another. It's very similar to what we're. Oh, they took off my part of that. Pardon me, guys. Where was this sitting? This is where I'm pulling this up. Sometimes TradingView will delete my lines here. So we'll see what happens. Boom. One second, apologize about that. All right, so this area here is an area for me, as well as the 1600 mark, and people don't like hearing that. I can tell. I was bringing this up to a friend, and he was like, "No, Ethereum cannot go that low," and I'm like, "Well, I mean, I see it. Just certain aspects behind it. What we're seeing in the market, it's just." we'll see what happens. But again, like I said, the market is if and then them, if and then statements, right? So I like to just point out for whenever I'm trading that you need to have, if the market goes up, then you need to go long. If the market goes short, you need to have a plan to go short. You need to be able to point out both areas and turning points within the market. So these are just some of the things that from a long perspective, I want you guys to be able to look at. So give me 1 second. I need to go to the month chart here. Here we are for Ethereum. Here we go. 1 second. And as well as right here. This is Ethereum, like again, what I was talking about earlier. Previous highs become support once it gets blown through. So these are some of the things that I try to look in within the market, as well as areas or potential areas of turnaround market market turnaround. So you can see here that there is a small little wick right here. So we're gonna find that area right here. But just to point out, Ethereum is very similar on a monthly chart to the S&P 500. Again, does this look familiar? Right? Let's go look at the S&P 500 weekly or monthly again. Wow, right? Like it's almost exactly to this. I mean, and it's kind of scary to see what's actually going on. Oh, pardon me. Let's go to the monthly chart here and let me delete these here real quick. As you guys can see, it's very similar to the S&P 500 within the last few months. The down, these wicks here, and then the sell-off. So I'll point this out again here for you guys. Ethereum, similar, right? It's only within the last few months that we've seen the institutions really start to get involved. And so they want to literally, I think they want to get as low as possible, but they don't want to crash the markets fully. So this is why I'm looking at these certain areas going, are we at a turnaround point? If they are okay with it getting down, or are they going to even try to push it down to, you know, um, 300, 400 before they really start buying it? We'll find out what they do. But one thing I do know that is once you purchase a crypto or you start purchasing things now, a lot of these are on major institutions or major exchanges, so they can short these. And one thing we've seen with GameStop is the institutions have no problem shorting a company to get as much money profit as it before they actually do a hostile takeover. Now, obviously, in crypto, they can't do hostile takeovers, but they can push a market down. And because we're so illiquid within the markets, they can really manipulate the market at whole. If you consider the fact is that I think we're at 1.3 trillion now. And if you consider just Apple alone is worth about, $1.2 trillion as a stock, right? And that holds the whole entire crypto market at large. Speaking of Apple, I want to pull up Apple as well. Yeah. 1 second here. Pulling it up. And this is something that I want to point out because Apple in itself is a good indicator to see kind of what's going on with the markets. I like to look at Apple. There we are. Boom. Apple's a good analysis to be able to see kind of what's going on. It's just because Apple kind of runs the NASDAQ. And because it runs the NASDAQ, it's something that we can definitely um, use it almost as an indicator of what might come, right? It's kind of a foretell, but also it's a very strong company. So when it starts to move up, a lot of times this could actually, Apple can completely um, violate the laws of physics and turn the market completely around if it decides it wants to turn around and move up. We could see it move the NASDAQ. And if the NASDAQ gets on a tear, it will move the S&P 500. So these are certain little small things you need to be paying attention to. And so one thing I like to point out is there are some pretty big gaps in Apple, daily gaps. So I want to point out these daily gaps. Here we go. And again, this is not the, I'm not trying to be the bearer of bad news here, but these gaps here, typically in the markets, have a tendency to want to go fill gaps. It's one of the things that it does. And so, as you can see here, that Apple has a gap, a pretty big gap, right in this area here. So we could see potentially the Apple coming down to the 100 mark, and currently it's at 147. So again, this is something just to consider, something to think about, um, for reversal. So if you go and you look at Apple, right, and Apple, let's say it comes all the way down here, puts a big wick, or it comes down, does typically what the market does, right? Higher high or lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and then we start to see a big wick right in this area, and we start to see it turn around. Well, that's an indication of like, wow, shoot, look at that. So it's just these little things that you want to be paying attention to. So I just want to point this out here. We'll jump right back to ETH. So ETH right here has gone through. We've had a big sell-off, and now we'll see what happens. But on the monthly chart, you can see it's very similar to the S&P 500. We'll go to the weekly. The weekly, again, is very similar to the S&P 500. Again, we're seeing a big sell-off. We're hitting certain junctional areas here that I'm looking for maybe a turnaround or just a quick profit in these areas here. So we'll see what happens with it. But um, I'm actually kind of shocked that this area held within ETH. I think ETH is at a level, like if you look at the actual falls, we were at 48,000, 4850 on Ethereum, and now we're down to um, we came down to 1700 mark here. And so we had a pretty big hard sell-off. I think you had more of a sell-off on Ethereum than you did actually on Bitcoin. It seemed like a stronger sell-off. So it's something that whenever I'm looking at a chart and I see a huge sell-off, man, I'm thinking, man, where's a good area for me myself if I'm looking to get in on a project to really get in and see if I can get in at a cheaper rate. Again, I'm always looking for projects that have major utility. And one of the biggest utility projects that we know within crypto is Ethereum. It's Ethereum 2.0 is coming out soon. We know that they keep talking about it, which is going to drop the fees dramatically down. So it's one of those things that I feel like, we need to be paying attention to. And again, as we can see right here, let me point this out. Pardon me. There we go. This is another area here for myself that I pointed out, and here's the other one right here. Now, I know these levels here are crazy to think about if Ethereum could come back down to the $500 mark. But for me, it could, because we all know that crypto does sell off. But at these levels, I just don't see people not wanting to buy. It's not, I don't, even if it was because the business itself, it has so much utility to it. I can't see people not wanting to want to buy at these levels. These are accumulation value. These are accumulation areas that I see institutions wanting to load up. Because if this does, like in a year, we've seen, the markets within a year or two do 10x, 20x, 100x, right? Especially with projects. I mean, look at Luna. Luna 4 years ago was at less than a cent, and it climbed all the way up to $100. We're talking I think that's a 10,000x. So within 4 years, so those returns you don't typically see within traditional markets, but within the crypto market, we definitely see those. So I definitely can see the institutions really wanting to get in on these levels and saying, you know what, we could really push these markets from 300 to, shoot, 30,000 Ethereum, and see a 10x. So this is almost how I look at the market now that the institutions are getting involved. They are the ones buying in. Um, again, when you look at the weekly chart on Ethereum and the S&P 500, you're going to see a very similar look. Again, I don't mean to keep beating a dead horse, but you can see a similar look here from this moment on. Within the last few months, it's pretty much followed the S&P 500 again. So then let's go ahead and jump now to a daily chart here. Now my daily chart, I'm typically seeing, this dictates whether it's really going to follow through or not, right? So as we had this big buyer wick step in, but now we're actually starting to hit some seller wicks step in this area. I want to point this out as well right here. And one thing I like to do is I like to put in my zones as the market is selling off. I don't wait until, a couple days later or whatever. I like to do it then, because if case we have, let's say we have a big rally up to this area, and if I'm not prepared for my zones, I'm not going to be able to take advantage of it, because I'll be thinking, because it's very hard to trade the market in the moment. You want to have a game plan, if and then this, if and then this. If the market does this and it's starting to turn around, I'm going to go short here. If the market is continuing up and I'm long, right, I want to be able to take advantage of the momentum as it's moving continually, right? And so it's one of those things that I'm always looking for. As you can see here, as a recap on the weekly chart, we did have a big sell-off from Monday to today. And now we're just going to see what's happening. We're going to see what happens. Are they going to continue this up, or are they going to hit this 8 moving average with this zone area here? It's going to be really interesting to see what happens this weekend as the market unfolds. It's almost like an episode of, I don't know if many of you guys remember MacGyver or Murder, She Wrote, or they would leave you, I guess there's other shows. I don't really watch TV anymore, so I guess I'm dating myself here, but yeah, you have some pretty cool stuff that goes. It's very suspense. It's really suspenseful right here to see what's going to happen in the market. We did hold this level here. We did sell up, but we are now backing into this area here. And again, we're continuing up. So it's something that I was really happy about to sit there and see. Again, right here, we also had a bunch of buyers step in, right? It was selling off, but then it started to get bought. Now, when you look at the 4-hour chart, you can sit here and see. Actually, I like to look at the 2-hour chart. We had a big sell-off, and then look, even though the primary of it was selling, you can see that this mark here, you had people buying. Again, you had people buying this area, and these are big areas, right? We're talking these are big areas. These are big moves. We're talking 100-point moves, 200-point moves within Ethereum, right? Which is basically like 10-20% within 2 hours. Now, those who are used to crypto, that's a common thing, but still, it's still kind of crazy. So these are just some of the things I'm pointing out. As I look to see here, we're also starting to consolidate right in this support area that I pointed out here. So we'll find out if it is able to break through the support area right here, or excuse me, not support, resistance level area, and then push through to another higher level, which is sitting right in here at the 2400 to the 2430. Or I guess the 2430 to the 2480 area. We do have some moving average above it and below that areas that may cause resistance. So be mindful of that. Then let's go ahead and jump right into BNB. BNB. Pardon me. Let's go ahead and go to BNB, USD. I guess we can hit this up. I don't like the Here we go. Jumping right back here to the monthly chart. Again, I want to point out, I'm going to sound very redundant here, and I apologize. But again, I want to point out the similarities that we are seeing to the S&P 500 on the monthly chart and how it very much correlates with BNB. You can sit here and see that this area here again looks almost exactly like the S&P 500. I mean, it's literally almost exactly like it. And so we sit there and we're able to see what's actually going on. So as I would almost say, as of right now, as so the ES or S&P moves, so does the rest of crypto. We'll see what happens. You know, if the S&P 500 does start to turn around at this level, because we've had a pretty big sell-off, at least a 25% sell-off of the S&P 500, which is really a good retracement. It's a pretty good correction within the market, and so that might be, you know, that might continue, where we could see a turnaround in the S&P 500, and we might see a turnaround within crypto at these levels. That's the reason why I'm pointing that out. It's because if the correlation continues, and the S&P and the institutions are trading it like they're trading the S&P 500, then we're going to see a similar rebound as we're seeing within the markets. So we can point out right here. It's a similar chart here. Now for a BNB, you know, I remember looking. Wow, I did not save any of my areas. Let me point this out here. And I'm not picking this out because it is where the market stopped. It's just part of my rules and how I quantify good areas or good supporting resistant areas, good demand and supply zones as well. So we see the market here coming to this area here, and it did hit this area pretty well. We saw a big buyback. Now, I had been talking to a lot of people in my community, and I have been telling them, though, I can see the market coming to the 20 or 240 to 220 area, and seeing it really bounce back from this area, primarily because of this level here. There's a lot of buyers sitting in this area here. You can see it because of the wicks. Pretty much it. Look, it sells off and it buys back. And so these areas here are good little areas to be able to sit there and go, okay, look, it's moving. So I try to look for areas that are kind of like the first test of that area of the buybacks. So you can sit here and see this. Now the biggest thing, again, just to correlate, it's the same thing as S&P 500. We sold off through the 20, right? We came up, we tried to test the 8, but this one, BNB, is really strong. It actually is doing really good comparative to the rest of the markets. It's just, I feel like it was holding a lot stronger in comparison to the rest of them for a long while. Then they did have a hard sell-off this week, but it's still one of those ones I look at going like, I think there's a lot more demand for BNB because of the perpetual futures that are going on, how you're able to trade them. And so you need the actual market itself, or you need the coin itself to trade the markets within their perpetual futures. So I think that's what's bringing in demand per se than for other coins. Now the other aspect behind it is simple. It was not below the 20, whereas the S&P 500, as you can see here, was below the 20. We came and tested it, and we saw this with also Ethereum and Bitcoin, whereas BNB, it's not below. It finally closed off below, but the week we saw it was above the 20, and it did bounce off. I'll show you guys here. It did bounce off that 20 pretty hard, and then finally sold off. Wasn't able to hold, but it did try to come up and touch and basically retest this 8. And so this shows more. I have a bullish sentiment towards BNB as an actual ecosystem, simply because I feel like it's holding more so, and it's holding more of the levels in a stronger fashion. So I am a bit more bullish on, and they have a ton of utility that I can't. I mean, if they just have a ton of utility, I can't compete. You can't compete with them as well. They got futures, you can trade off of them. There's buying. I mean, it's an overall just a strong ecosystem. So I'm gonna encourage you guys to look at them as well. But just to point out again, um, that come on, there we are. To point out that it came, it touched, and it ran. Now the next junctional point, if it does not hold here, is this 50 moving average here. Now we all know that the institutions look at the 50 period moving average, and they do use that as a junctional point to either buy or sell off of this area. This is a common thing known as they look at the 50, they look at the 100, they look at the two. It's stuff that you can find on YouTube. I'm just pointing that out because we could see a pretty good rally as well. So we do see it sell off within the next week. It's one of these areas that we're looking for us to see. And plus, if you're a crypto trader, we know that a $145 BNB coin is it's a pretty good in comparison to many of us within the last year have been paying between $700 and $400. So, if you do like the Binance market area, if you like trading Pancake Swap and a lot of the DeFi projects, it would be smart for you guys to start to load up. This is a great area to dollar cost average. Again, this is not financial advice, but something if you are a trader of a lot of the poo coins, this is a nice area to start looking at as well. And then from there, the next area, and we'll just go to the weekly area here, the weekly chart. Again, just to point out the 200-day period moving average. We have another area right here again, sitting in. There we go, guys. And these are just areas that I'm looking to actually get in. One could only dream if BNB would actually come down to this level right here. I just correlate because this would be a nice. It's like saying if Amazon was to sell off to $44 here. That's how I look at BNB. It's the utility within Amazon is uncorrelated or not uncorrelated, but unprecedented in comparison to a lot of the other stocks out there, and so they have so many areas to make money that it's just but yeah, you're having a huge sell-off in Amazon. And so I look at BNB here. There's just so many. They have so many areas to make money as a corporation and company that I have a hard time really seeing them saying goodbye in the crypto industry. So these areas here for me are just areas that I'm looking for. Again, to point out, it looks just like the S&P 500. We are starting to see on the 20 period moving average that we are starting to trend. You can see us hitting it and then starting to sell off. So maybe look to see for next week a reversal. It might hit the 20 moving average on that weekly chart, which we'll see it correlate on the daily area, which typically is about the 50 moving average. So, but again, you're seeing some bullish sentiment with a lot of the buyers stepping in right here. And we're seeing that there's not a lot of seller wicks coming up in this area again, like just like the rest of the market at large here. I do like the way that they are moving, just simply because, well, it's following this 8 moving average really nice. So if you're looking to short in an area, for me, I like to trade off of a moving average. Based, some people like trading off of the exponential moving averages. Some people like trading off of smooth averages where it's going through. I really like using the simple moving averages for myself. It's one of those things that I feel like it works better for me. Each person trades different. Each person is a little bit different. So, and I understand that. Everybody sees the market a little bit different, but as long as it's a rule-based system that you actually follow and then you don't deviate, it's something. One of my rules is that I like to get in on a trade that has a moving average as well as a zone. And so for me, I like to correlate that so that when I do, whether it's a short or a long, I want to make sure that I have on the daily it all kind of following in conjunction with it. So I really try to use that. In addition to it, I also like to look at the fact is that I like to go and I like to get trade in on a very fresh zone. Um, most people don't understand what that is. That basically means that it has not been traded through before. It's the first time it's been traded, and so it's one of those things that you could be paying attention to. It might hold, it might not, but it's still one of those things that I want to at least look at. Now on a daily area here, there's another fresh zone that I did have it marked out. Again, I apologize. I I did move away. I shut down TradingView and did erase some of my stuff. So if anybody knows anybody at TradingView, maybe they can hook me up with a free account. The fact that I'm using them, but either way, um, as you guys can see here, that again BNB with the 190, 185 zone. I like this area here. If we do continue down, if we continue up, then here are some of your resistance levels that we can definitely see come in. Um, when I'm considering the short, I want to see again a moving average typically to be within that zone, and I want that zone to be fresh. So typically that area, I want to make sure that I use this as an area. So let's say we start to move up, right? I'm looking for maybe to short in this area. I'm also looking to short in this area here. And so we could definitely see a turnaround if the market decides it wants to move up and then turn around where it puts in a lower high and it continues in as a lower low. So like I said, you look at the market as if and then this, right? Or if and then I do this. It's just one of those things that I really try to look at. So this is pretty much my analysis of S&P 500, BNB, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. I also want to point out there's one exchange that is really, there's a few projects out there. One being Moonrock that I really like and support. They do a lot of good stuff right now. They had a bunch of sell off of their coin. People trying to find other coins, but they got a bunch of utility. And what the other one that I really like is actually called Stream, or excuse me, not Stream, but Steam, STEAM. Here we are, Steam X, STEAMX. Is it here? They're not so big yet, but I do see them doing fairly well in the future. So let me go ahead and go right here to CoinMarketCap. Now they did have a massive sell-off because, well, they're a smaller coin. And so anybody that's a smaller coin that's not a major coin has really, really been hurt within the markets. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the market itself or that actual coin itself is bad. It just simply means, man, that it's a crazy market right now. So I want to point these guys out because it's real simple. They're good. They've got some great utility that I really like. But areas that I would look to purchase at, come on, baby. It's not gonna allow me to. Let's try this here one more. Give me 1 second. Yeah, with crypto, we all know if you're trading crypto, you got to go through a few charting systems to find, because ones are off of things are actually based off of, or charting systems and the way they are looked at are just looked at different ones. So give me 1 second. Here we go. BNB, StreamX. All right, here we go. SteamX here. We're gonna broaden this out. And just give it a second. But again, like everything I'm talking about here is all based off of my personal opinion. It is not financial advice. This is all, you know, just stuff that I'm looking at and that I really like. So these guys are definitely going down. So I think this is a great buying opportunity. They are planning to open up their own charting system. They are going to have their own exchange, literally like Binance, a lot of other ones. They also have a couple revolutionary technology that they're going to be coming out with here. And the thing that I like about it is really the team is just really just like Moonrock Coin. They're just really dedicated. They're nonstop and they're always working. So I want to encourage them. You guys go check these guys out. I really like them, as well as Moonrock Coin as well. But yeah, I'm looking at this area on the daily chart, and really what I see is just simply just like, I mean, if you look at a lot of the smaller coins, this is what it looks like. It's literally what it looks like, and it's one of those things that we can see a huge push. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just how it works. So just I want to spotlight them while we're in this down market, maybe DCA with them, and find coins out there that have a ton of utility, that are pushing out a lot of utility as well. Because it's one of those things that when the market rebounds and starts to move up, these coins are so small. Like, I can see these guys in 2 years, 3 years being at $4 or $8, right? And right now you buy them for 0.00000, right? It's 4 zeros, and you put in $100, and all of a sudden you got a couple $100,000 now. So it's just the same way with Moonrock, the same way with another one that I really like is Sriracha. Sriracha is another one I think is a really, really good. And just being upfront and honest, we are Moonrock. Like I said, I'm a dev with Moonrock. Um, we have invested into, because like I said, we are like a hedge fund, a community DAO hedge fund. Sriracha is one of the ones that we have invested into, Sriracha. But I like them because in this down market where you're really seeing just a bleeding, these guys are another coin that I really like, because they're actually going to be coming out with their own Sriracha sauce. And the fact is that I look at them as a way that they will be bringing in income. They're going to be bringing income in outside of their treasury. When they launch and put their Sriracha sauce on the actual market, you're going to see some major people buying them. So, and the proceeds that they actually go through, that they make off of their Sriracha, is going to go into the chart, where they will do a buyback and burn. Same thing with Moonrock, and the same thing with a lot of these other projects that I will be looking at. But the biggest thing is this: I am looking for utility coins that are at a deep discounted rate, that I can go there and say, all right, well, put a couple, $100 and see what happens. But again, this is not financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. But yeah, this is what I'm looking at. So these are just little things that I like, and we'll see what happens with them. All right, so that's it in a nutshell. One last thing, let's look at Luna. Luna, I know that they have stopped trading, and they're going to be coming out with a version 2. So, but just to look at Luna, it's kind of sad to see what happened with them. As you guys noted yesterday, I had Ralphie Pina. Ralphie is here. Is his nomenclature, or is his name that he uses as where you can find him. I forget the actual word itself. I know I'm saying it wrong. It's not nomenclature, but it's one of those things that you can find him wherever he is. And he's extreme. He's a macro fundamental analysis guy. That's what he does. But you can see here, guys, that it's pretty much still it's dead. It's dead in the water. But wait for and pay attention to the Twitter, their Twitter account. One of the things I like to do, if you need to find a project and see what's going on with it, go on CoinMarketCap and then type in the coins ticker symbol. And so I'm going to do that here real quick. Luna. Luna. Terra Luna. So you can see here, guys, due to the depegging of the UST, Luna is experiencing extreme volatility. So one of the things I do is I'll come here and I will actually go through and check out their Telegram and Discord. So you can actually come here, as well as their community. You can find them on Twitter. one thing that I'll do is I will go through and find out what's going on with their Telegram. See, a lot of times people will go through and get a lot of the information here. So you can see here that they've been posting quite a bit, almost every few hours. You can see they've been letting people know what's going on with their protocol, what they have planned. They do have a comeback plan. So guys, be mindful, because remember, these guys, Terra Luna, I'm not trying to poo-poo them at all, but well, it's not a poo-poo. They just basically went through a hostile takeover, and they lived through it, and they're going to come back. And I think they had some mess. I think they didn't think things through 100% with the loan that they had with Citadel, and Citadel definitely kind of screwed them over. I don't know if it was planned or whatever it is, but the rumor is that they're the ones that were shorting it. Again, this is rumor. This isn't confirmed, but it's just one of those things that it's just really interesting to sit there and see. The other part behind it, and I want to point out, is if and when they do launch the new coin, as well as if they do another stable coin, to be mindful of that. These guys have billions of dollars. Their treasury holds hundreds of millions of dollars, so they're not starting over from nothing. They've got the ability to market their new program. They have the ability to put money into development and being able to reestablish a whole entire new coin, even be better than what it was before. So, be looking out, be paying attention to Luna. I would say don't discount them. Pay attention to what they're doing, and, literally wait for a comeback if they do, but we'll see what happens here, but pay attention to that stuff. Again, I want to point out the way you find any type of cryptocurrency is that I would go through and connect to CoinMarketCap, and then from there you just pull up the ticker symbol up in this area, and you can pull them right in this area. You pull them up, and you can just find them real quick. So that's in a nutshell, guys. I know that was a lot. That was an hour recap for everybody. If you have any questions, any concerns, reach out to me in the comment section. I'll respond as best I can, and we can go through. Please like, share this video, and let me know what your guys' thoughts are. All right, many blessings, and we'll see you guys soon.